All right, here is your assignment A3 video instructions. So I'm also going to talk briefly here about the practice activities too. You can see right above, this is just kind of messing around with a given submittal log that you get to filter. So you get to use the filter function on it. So to pull that one up, right, all you're ultimately doing is taking your practice activity Excel sheet that we're giving you, right? It's pretty much populated. This was actually from a real project too. All the dates and everything's been modified. But what you're really looking to do is at the very top. Whoops, I want to click on that. At the very top, in order to filter, you just highlight this whole row, and up in your data section, you just have to click filter, and then what you see is, in each one of these little boxes, you'll be able to have a drop down now. You can select different things. You can sort them in different ways, which really comes in handy when you're trying to figure out, where we are. I need to know all my product data. So I don't want all of these things. I just want to see what my product data is, right? Or I go back to all of them. I just want to see, by date when things were submitted. I just want to see certain spec sections. So if I just want to see what's in my one concrete package, right, that's all that's done. So it's a really good tool, obviously, with how big your submittal packages get and your submittal logs get. Being able to filter them is a big deal. So that's pretty much all you're doing on this activity. You're just taking a look through all of this and you're trying to fill out these boxes right here. Again, this is practice. This is for you to do. It's not to be submitted, as you'll see on Educat. I give you the keys. So you can take a look and see all those different things. So it's good to do this though ahead of time before you get into the submittal log, because on your submittal log, you'll have to create your own submittal log from scratch. So that assignment is right here. And you can take a lot of that information. I mean, what we do quite often in our industry is we take one document from one project and copy it over, move it to the next project. So obviously you have to update it based on specific requirements for that project. But the instructions will walk you through what you have to do. You don't have to create a submittal log for the entire project just for the sake of time. And once you get beyond, about division 9, things start to get potentially a lot more complicated, and that's just going to be time consuming. So to get you out of here a little bit faster and just getting you the gist of what's going on, you're going to create a submittal log from divisions 3 through 9 based on using your Dome football center specs. So it is these ones right here, right, that you'll be using at the same, from the beginning of the class. I told you there's a section at the top of your Educat page, right up here, that you can use for your Dome football specs. So based on that spec section, or that specification book, you'll have to create a submittal log for those divisions. So you have to make sure you have all of those sections. You don't have to fill in dates, right? Some of the dates must have calculations though. So again, going back to, if you don't know some of the Excel functions, go back to that section, look through the tutorial. You'll have to have calculations set up for 2 of your columns at least, which would be date response due from the AE and date overdue. So making sure you understand how to calculate that max function, and the simple 14 days after AE receives submittal. So you have automatic dates that are popping up in your Excel sheet. Then you'll have to create some drop-down lists too for submittal type, for status, for originators. So take a look at your Excel resources, make sure you know how to set those filters up, those drop-downs. Once you are completed, make sure to save and submit your Excel file, because I need to check on calculations. That's really what I'm looking for on this, and making sure you have the right amount of items in it. Once you submit, there will be a key as well. I should probably emphasize that for the sake of tracking, your final results should have about 35 to 45 submittal items. So again, a lot of it's up to interpretation. This is why we have the process, because your architect and engineer might have one idea in mind and you might see it differently. So you should have somewhere between 35 and 45 submittal items just within these divisions. If we went all the way through division 26, I think there's division 27 too. If you went all the way through that, you're probably up to 200 or so submittals. So we're just going to leave it at this for the sake of the assignment. Let's see, I think that's about it for this one. Your grading rubrics at the bottom too. If you have any questions, just let me know. That's your step one of your submittal assignment, because it's important that you first have to do your submittal log, then you can figure out even what submittals are coming down the line. The next step then is your submittal package review. So this is the little more challenging piece. So your A3-2 or 3.2 is your submittal package review. You're going to be given two different submittals. You're going to have to look at your specs, and you're going to have to mark them up based on what your project requirements are. So again, looking at this, you're going to be getting a submittal for joint sealants, you're going to be submittal for carpet tile, and then also giving you a action stamp too, just so you don't have to create this. I just want you to download this, save it, and use this as your action stamp for your review process. So you can take a look and see what that kind of looks like at the end. There's also a transmittal form guide, excuse me, which you can take a look at as well. This kind of explains how on Bluebeam, if you have Bluebeam, that you can create a transmittal form too and what it should kind of look like. So little guide, good information for you to take a look at on that. So hopping back into the assignment now, your A3.2 package. So you basically have to create a submittal for both of those packages. Now what you're getting is two final PDFs. They'll be named properly per the syllabus, and you'll be submitting those two packages with your submittal transmittal. Okay, so what you're pretty much doing is pretending that you have a general trades submitting you for joint sealants and a flooring company submitting for some carpet tile products. So when you pull those up, they're going to be these submittals right here. So here's your joint sealants one on the right, and then this other one is your carpet tile. Okay, so that's what you're going to be getting. You're going to have to take a look at this product versus what the spec says and make sure that they meet requirements. Okay, so that's pretty much it. What I have listed down here is obviously a lot of things for Bluebeam. I know that there's been a technology issue and not everybody has Bluebeam, and that's okay. If you can't get a transmittal thing, you can create one in Word, you can create one in different other software that you might have, and it doesn't have to be in Bluebeam. We wrote it all for Bluebeam because our traditional in-person students all have that, and that's what we are, and that's, like I mentioned before, it's sort of an industry standard. So I'll let you take a look through all these things. If you can't meet some of those requirements, not a big deal. I care about the intent of what we're doing here so you can actually dive in and see what it looks like to review a submittal. So that's what we care about, not all the technicalities of all this stuff. If you can do it, obviously, I want you to do it to the best of your ability. Let's see. So I'll let you follow along with this, with how you have to format the submitting of your assignment. You should have a transmittal sheet at the top, submittal form 1, right? So each of your submittals then will have their own submittal form as well. Take a look at that one guide that I just showed you right in here. If it opens for me, right? This submittal and transmittal form guide. So take a look at that. That will help you with this step. Okay, so you have your transmittal sheet, your submittal form, and then your actual submittal with markups. Submittal form 2 for the other product, and submittal 2 with markups. And that's pretty much it on here. I know you guys can all read and follow instructions well. So what I want to kind of show you is how you even start going about this. So quite honestly, your carpet tiles normally quite easy to take a look at, quite easy to review. Your joint sealants are a little bit more challenging, and this is a really poor submittal, so I want to walk you through that for a second. But what you're going to have to do is, if you can pull up both at the same time, that's ideal. We are in division 096813. So if I head over to my spec book here, 096813, my carpet tile. So the first thing you have to do is, obviously with your submittal log, you're going to have to pull that up, make sure that you have the right submittals in. So if you take a look at this, what we have is section, let's see, what you have to submit is your product data. Submit data on specified products describing physical and performance characteristics, size patterns, etc., etc. And we have to submit manufacturer's installation instructions too. All right, so if you take a look through all these different submittals, you'll see what we have. For the sake of this assignment, don't worry about closeout submittals. It's the same process, but a different process. And if you start lumping those together, it gets kind of challenging. So what we have to look then at is, did we get that product correct? Because if we did, right, I know I'm giving you the key a little bit here, but carpet tile, we have product data. Great. Date received, today's 9/2/22, right? And you should have your other things set up. But so we know that that's in there. We know it's checked off. Okay, come back in your product data. We have our products now. Manufacturers, Mannington commercial product. Yep, we have Mannington. All right, we're good there. That's one thing. I like to use this little tool that says we have our crosstalk pattern, which is shown right here, right? Mannington is checked off. We're good, right? Yarn weight, 20 ounces per yard. So take a look through. We got yarn weight somewhere, I'm sure of it. 20 ounces per yard. Yep, got that. Right, size 24 by 24. Got that. Right, so that's what you're pretty much doing is you're taking a look at one thing, your spec versus your submittal, and checking the boxes as you go. So I'm not going to do that the whole way through. I'll leave that up to you. More challenging now is jumping into your sealants, and the reason why is because you have multiple things. So we're looking at 79200 with our joint sealants. So it's right here. The reason why this gets a little more convoluted is because, especially this particular submittal, we don't have any other information from that's really saying what product we're submitting for, right? So we know what section it's in. We know, made up a name here for the builders that are submitting it, but they don't tell us which one we're doing based on the submittal log. If you saw the last video, you should send it back and make sure that they do it correctly. But for the sake of the assignment, I want you to try to look your way through here and figure out which one is which. So if you look at the spec sections, right, you have to submit product data, manufacturer's instructions, warranty information, right? So that's part of the submittal package. As you're going through the products in your joint sealers, right, we have basically 3 products: general purpose interior sealant, bathtub sealant, and we have acoustical sealant. Then we also have accessories too. Oftentimes this is all the same in stuff. So the way I'm looking at this is we have 4 different submittals within this package. So to take a look at, see what we got here, trying to figure out one versus the other, you have to look through some of this information, the description, what it might be, and figure out, okay, did they just submit my general purpose interior stuff, or is this the bathtub sealant? A lot of times the giveaway is your ASTM, right? Because that's your testing stuff. So that's a good thing to look at. So the other hard part here is this one. This one conforms and meets with multiple different things. So this would be a good question to ask your subcontractors before you submit anything. Which one of these products are you actually submitting on? Right? What are we doing here? Okay, and then going through to the next one. Here's your hybrid performance sealant. So you take a look through some of this stuff to figure out which product am I looking at. Again, based on this. Is this the bathtub this time or acoustical, right? So based on some of this general information here and looking at the product submittal, try to figure out best of your ability as you're looking through. Product data sheet. I know there's another one down here somewhere. Here's another sealant. Take a look at, right? As you're going through, here's another sealant to take a look at. And we also have then, spread throughout here, we have different accessories, right? So take a look at what accessories are here versus what accessories are required, and then create your submittal package. Let's see. I was going to pull this up again just to make sure that you understand that when we go through, you should have a submittal transmittal sheet at the front, right? Just one of those that explains the multiple submittals that you're going to be sending. Okay, and then each one of those submittals will have to have its own form. So you have your submittal package for just your carpet tile, which will have its own form, and then you'll have the submittal review package behind that you'll submit, and then you have to do another form like this where you have your joint sealant stuff sent behind that. So just to give you a little bit more of clarification I'll give you a little bit of the key here, right? So based on, this is the joint sealants one, right? So you're gonna have to create a submittal transmittal for this, right? That's what it looks like, something like that. Then you'll have your submittal form, okay? And then you're gonna have to go through your joint sealant section, mark them up, make some notes, highlight, do all that kind of stuff. And then when you get to the next one, you'll have your other submittal form, right, for the next product, and another submittal form for the next product, right? So as you're going through, you'll have multiple submittal forms for each of those products. It's really important to understand too that in pre-construction, before you get into actual submittals, you should have a very specific way of doing things um, with your architect and engineer, so they understand that when you submit something, you're going to use some color to mark it up. You're going to use highlights for this. You're going to use notes for that, just so they understand who's doing what, right? So it's pretty common that if you also have to make sure that subcontractors understand the requirement. So a lot of times, right, if they're going to send in product data like this, your subcontractor should use a specific color. Maybe we'll say green, right? So they'll use green. They mark things up just to make sure that they note what product they're submitting. Then maybe you use like blue or something like that, or red. I use red in this one, right? So all of your comments are going to be in that color. And then when you send it on, the architect and engineer know exactly what they're dealing with, who's marking what up, and what comments are coming from different parts and from different parties involved. And then they have a little better understanding of what's going on. So it's another important process when you're dealing with submittals. Once you are complete with all of that, where do we go here? Once you're complete with all that, you'll submit your submittal log to this portal. You'll submit your review package to this portal. Once you have submitted, you will get the keys so you can take a look at it, because again, don't worry so much about grades on this. I want you to worry about learning something, getting feedback, and understanding how this whole process works. Once you're done with those, you have some discussion post stuff to do, which is based heavily on your submittal process, and a lot of it is based on trying to get feedback between all your peers in the class on how you struggle with the submittals, or what you did well in the submittals, or this, that, the other thing, and then obviously the quiz to finish too. So with that, I believe that's pretty much all we have for it. So if you have any questions, let me know.